আসার আগে অনেক ভয় লাগবে। অবভিয়াসলি মনে হবে যে এটা তোমার জন্য কাজ করবে না। বাট তুমি যদি একবার এসে যাও অ্যান্ড পড়াশোনাটা শুরু হয়ে যায়, অ্যান্ড আই থিংক এটা অনেক ভালোভাবেই সেট হয়ে যাবে, বিকজ ইটস আ, লাইক আই সেড, ইটস আ প্রসেস, অ্যান্ড তোমার জাস্ট বিশ্বাস করতে হবে যে এভরিথিং উইল ওয়ার্ক আউট।
Welcome to this episode of The Professor. Our guest today, I thought about introducing her in so many different ways because she is a very special student that I had the honor to teach one day. But the best way that I thought of introducing her is that whenever I gave the first ever assignment to the class and the quiz, and then I made a hard one. So it was not an easy quiz, and that was a global finance class, and that class was in human resources. And then I got two students who got the final grade, the full mark. Is our guest was one of them. So I think the first question I will ask you is, Israt, how did you get the full mark on that quiz? Welcome, Israt. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, sir. Thank you so much for creating this opportunity for us. This is the very first time I'm doing it, so I hope this would be a learning experience for me. And about the course, sir, I remember you were actually giving us a list of movies that I used to watch. And if I go through a concept and I do not understand that, I instantly decided to watch a movie and then go through the concept again. It became very clear. So that was my first semester from Bangladesh. The teaching style, everything was very different. So I was really enjoying the course that you were taking. It was very, very different. I think that's how actually I was very interested in the course, and that's how I actually got good marks. That's
good to know. Good to know. Good to know.
So all credit is yours, sir.
Of course no. That's all your effort. I'm 100% sure. So getting back to the starting. So I know that you are specialized in human resources. You got your bachelor's and I think your executive MBA. So tell us more about this background of Bangladesh. What made you have some interest in human resources?
So, sir, I graduated from Bangladesh School. So, my majors were in human resources management and minor was in finance.
Okay.
So, after graduating, I actually started working in human resources management in Grameenphone, that is basically Telenor in Bangladesh. It is our leading telecommunication company in Bangladesh. So, I started my journey there. So, the role was very interesting. It was, I started as payroll executive. And then after 1 year, I started doing the more strategic portion of it, compensation and benefits specialist. So I started enjoying human resources management during that time. And after 4 years, I got an offer from Uniliver Bangladesh. It was a role of reward manager. So I had to take over the full portfolio in Bangladesh. And my responsibilities was mostly focusing on compensation and benefits. The responsibilities were similar, but portfolio was bigger. So I decided to take over that role. And after working there for 2 years, I think on third year, I got another role, which is HR business partner for corporate divisions. So it was a bit different because I was doing more operational stuff and also functional knowledge that I was applying to those roles. And later on, I took over this more generic role. I had to work with finance team, legal team, IT team, all of the directors, their team members, all of this. And finally, I got an offer from H&M Bangladesh before coming to Canada. And the role was HR business partner for group production. So it was, and again, it was also very different because it was a retail industry. So overall, after graduating, I have an overall experience of different industries, different roles in telecommunication, FMCG, and also retail. So and that was my journey.
Yeah, what pushed you to pick up human resources in your bachelor's? I guess there were multiple opportunities, but what was the motive of choosing human resources as a discipline?
Initially, when I started choosing my majors, so during that time, I was very interested in psychology. So at one point, I wanted to do my entire graduation in that subject, but somehow I could not find a suitable one for me. So then when I started doing the primary courses of human resources, I was very interested in this, like how the entire organization is being managed by people and for the people. I was very interested in that area.
Unilever is a huge multinational name, and whatever they're having operations, I'm 100% sure that you learned a lot of things. And I'm quite sure also it's very competitive everywhere to get a job in Unilever, and you ended up being an HR business partner, which is one of the top roles. So tell me more about what did you learn in Unilever specifically? What are the things that we can say that they distinguish Unilever from other companies?
Of course, the one thing that you mentioned, the company and the culture and everything, it's very competitive, and also a huge learning opportunity because the setup is like that. Okay, I was reporting to India, and my other team members were sitting in Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Nepal, in all of these countries, and we got to meet in Goa, like in one conference. And probably we were planning to because our colleagues from Pakistan, they could not visit to India, so that's why then we decided to let's do it somewhere else. So the overall culture of work was very different, and also that was the first time when I started working with people from different parts of the world, right? So that was also very, very different for me, and learning opportunities were huge in that company because if you perform well, they would give you the opportunity for growth and development. So overall the journey was good. And another thing in Unilever that I could learn, punctuality. You cannot let things happen easily. You have to plan accordingly. You have to know your stuff. If you're saying something, you really have to make sense when you're saying that. So overall, I have learned a lot from that organization. So I'm really grateful.
You are established, you are an HR business partner in a company that I'm positive 1 million people are just dreaming to have an entry-level job. The question is, where does Canada come from? How this idea of immigration and starting from, not from scratch, but I would say the journey is tough if you move to another country and taking a new degree and searching for jobs. Where did this come from?
If I think now, I think two reasons, Professor. First of all, my siblings. So my brother is actually a Fulbright scholar. So he completed his master's from University of Illinois, and during that time, only 6 people, I think, got this chance from Bangladesh. During that year, so he came here, he completed his master's, and then he had to go back because that was the condition of his scholarship. So when he went back, I could see the change in him, like how he grew professionally, personally. It was like a very different person. So he inspired me. And then my sister also came to Canada, and although she got a full-time job, he decided to quit the job and invest some time on her education. So he completed her master's from Ryerson University this year, and recently she has joined as policy analyst in the Ministry of Labor. So
wow, congratulations!
So overall,
That's a huge job, yeah.
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 So both of them actually inspired me. That is one reason, and another reason is obviously my professional life. So in last few years, basically I was getting leadership roles and more strategic roles, right? So then I realized that although I was doing good, but I felt that I have to learn more. I have to invest some time on my education as well, because I realized that these senior leadership roles require for deep understanding of more complex business work, and also strategic skills skills development, strategic thinking style, everything. So I don't know why, but I felt that when I was working on the contents for my, as HR business partner, I had to take training and had to prepare the materials for my employees, all of this. So during that time, I actually thought that I should now go for further studies, because I've already worked for 7-8 years. So now is the time that I should do this. So I think two reasons, Professor. Mostly.
Yeah, that's inspiring. And tell me about the experience of application, the visa, selection of the universities. I think that's very time consuming, and a huge amount of energy is usually put in such kind of a step. So tell me more about this step. Did you do this by yourself? Someone helped you? How did you manage the university selection and the visa application?
So, Professor, because of my job, I could not actually manage time, but it's possible. If you want, you can do this on your own. I took support from an agency, but honestly speaking, they would just one by one, step by step, they would uh, prefer that. I mean, they would do the activities for you, but they would prefer that you would recheck everything. You would write your own letter because they wouldn't know what are the things that you want to highlight for the immigration officers, right? So I think it was tiring because there are a lot of things like property evaluation, finance management. One small mistake, it will not happen for you. But you have to start really early. If you are targeting next year fall, I think you should start from this year summer or maybe winter, just to be safe.
And about the University of Windsor. So, from all the universities all across the place, especially that your sister is not in Windsor, why did you pick up this university and why Masters of Management in Human Resources as a selection?
So, Professor, initially I was looking for MSc degree in Human Resources Management in Ryerson University. But then again, I thought because of my corporate experience so far, I do not want to go for research and that kind of roles in future. So and then I was saving up for this masters for so long. That is another reason. So overall, considering the courses those are being offered by University of Windsor, obviously the quality of the education and also location, considering everything, I actually decided to go for University of Windsor.
All right, that's interesting. And tell us about the journey. So, you submitted your resignation. I understand most probably all of your managers were telling you that's not a good decision. You have a career here, you have a dream, but then you made a brave decision to immigrate. Tell us about these moments once you step your foot into the airport, take the aeroplane, and then land in Toronto. How was, what did you feel?
I think if I think now, I felt very empowered because, Professor, this is something I always wanted, but somehow because of my father, he was very unwell for a long time, and also I was doing well, right, in my job. So overall, it didn't happen somehow, and finally, I could decide. Finally, I could leave everything behind, and I was there. So once I was done with the formalities, I got my study permit, work permit, everything. I actually felt very, very empowered. Like I'm here finally.
Yeah, I understand. That's good. That's good. So, because whenever I ask this question to many students, everyone has a different feeling. Some are scared, some are sad, some are happy. But the first time I hear the word empowerment, you feel that you are now have something inside you that can enable you to do great things. So you arrived in Toronto, you moved to Windsor, and I think that first thing that you looked for is finding a place to stay. Tell us about this because I know that this is quite a huge challenge for many people about where to live. Should I live with someone else? Should I live by myself? What is the average cost of living? So how did you manage this, the housing in general?
I think from my experience so far, I've been here for 1 year almost. I think for first 2 3 months, it's better if you share a house with a few people. It's better because you first of all you'll not feel lonely. Second is obviously the cost that would be shared. But once you get habituated with everything, you know your way, you get a job, then I think it's better if you move and get a separate unit for yourself if you want. And if you enjoy living with other people, that is okay, you can do it. So for me, initially I was sharing house with a few housemates. That was also very helpful because there was a senior person who was constantly guiding me through this because she already completed her masters, and we were cooking together, eating together. So it was very, very nice. And then, but sometimes it happens that everyone will not prefer study time the same way, this will not match, right? So if you're sharing a house, it's better that, because university has a lot of good facilities, you can book a separate room, you can book group meeting room, all of this. So if you're not being comfortable or you're not being able to concentrate on your studies in the house, that's okay, you can just go there and find your room and concentrate there. And I think I started doing my part time after 2-3 months, and then I decided that now I can afford and can manage a separate unit. So that's why actually I moved to a new place, and now I'm living in it's like a studio apartment. So yeah.
And tell us about the part-time job, because that's the second biggest question everyone asks about getting the Canadian experience, whether or not this is matching with your ultimate role. But actually, just as you said, to support yourself financially and just to get your foot into the Canadian market. Tell us about this. How did you search for the job? What kind of job did you land? What is your employer? How do you find this experience?
I actually started searching for the job online, and then I saw that there was a vacancy. But here the system is like that: you have to first find that online, and then you have to go and put your resume, you have to talk to the manager, something like that. So for me, same thing happened. I had to visit the store, I had to talk to them. I told them that I need a job right now, I'm doing my master's, all of this. It's all about communicating with them and making them understand that you really need a job right now. So so for me that worked out.
The tip you just mentioned, that once you find a potential vacancy online, you just do not apply online, although you can, but actually going there in person, submitting your resume by hand and speaking to the manager, that you're telling me that increase your chances of acceptance.
Yes, of course, Professor, because when you are applying online, thousands of people are applying at the same time. And probably it happens like someone is applying today, they would just see their resume and call for that person. But if you apply online, because that's the part of their process, and then you visit them, you talk to them, you show them that you are really interested in getting this job, then I think that works out.
All right. And how did you find managing your time between classes, assignments, group projects, and the part-time? Was it difficult in the beginning and then it went better, or how did you find that challenge?
For me, I think something worked out really well. Like we have that course outline for every course. You know that we receive beginning of the semester, we receive that course outline. So there actually everything is written. Like which date, what would be the lecture for us, what is the assignments due, all of this. So and in my workplace, you have to give your schedule weekly. Okay. So based on the coursework, I actually sit with my manager, I plan accordingly. Like these are the dates where I really have to be in the university, or spend my time with my professor, so I cannot take shifts. So based on that, he plans for us, for every one of us. That's happened because it happens weekly. So it's very easy. Like, this week I'll have quizzes, assignments, submissions. And at the same time, weekly, you're telling your manager that I can do 15 hours, 20 hours, something like that. So I am actually following that one and sitting with my managers and solving this problem, something like that.
That's very flexible from the employer, that they are scheduling their schedules on a weekly basis and then listening to everyone. That's interesting, because Windsor now is having a large population of students who are working and having a full-time schedule. So that's interesting that employers are now accommodating all of that. Tell me, what is the biggest thing that you learned from your previous year when it comes to the academics? I understand that sometimes the expectations when it comes to the academic content that you get out of the masters might not be matching the expectation, might be higher, lower. So it's really as per the perspective of everyone. Tell me if you are remembering one highlight that until now, because I understand you still have a couple of months to finish your degree, but until now, what is the biggest highlight?
If I focus on the academic part, Professor, I think obviously it was very different from what we learned back in my country. The case studies, for an example. So So in all the courses, I could see we had to solve relevant cases. We had to go through this. We had to learn how to analyze a case and then give recommendations. All of this. So from that angle, I obviously learned a few things which were very new to me. And another thing is that which I felt we received a few invitations for different sessions from industry leaders, from human resources department, or maybe other departments as well. Um, but in the university, I really enjoyed those sessions. We were asking questions to the industry leaders, they were answering. University arranged those sessions for us, but probably it can be more for us. It is really helpful. That's what I felt. So probably more sessions can be arranged so that we can learn a lot of things from leaders from different areas in Canada, not only within Windsor.
And how about the non-academic part? I understand, given my own experience, that really it was quite a shock from my background system and what I encountered in Canada. So tell me about your experience. How did you find the university life different in Bangladesh to Canada?
University life is a bit different because here actually back in Bangladesh we only studied.
Okay.
Right, but here you have to cook, you have to do your laundries, you have to work, you have to do everything. Okay, so managing time and balancing that priorities, it's a bit technical here. So I think because of my personal reasons I could not spend much time in university activities, but there are a lot of activities that those were going on, and many people actually got involved in those, and at the same time they were doing their part-times and they were studied hard, they were doing good in the academic as well. So I think overall my experience was very good if I focus on that part. And another thing is that in the university, one thing I really liked, the way it is designed for study. Like everywhere you go, you'll see a small corner where you can actually sit, study and concentrate. Not only studying, you can actually do your own things. Probably you're writing something, you're applying somewhere. So I really liked about that in University of Windsor.
And what are your plans? So you're almost there when it comes to the graduation, and I think you're now thinking about what should be your next step. So what do you have in mind?
First of all, Professor, to get a good job here, I have to give my 100%. I'll try my best. Next plan is to complete my CHRL. That's a certification that we need for human resources management roles. So I'll try to start that as soon as possible in my last semester, if not after completing my graduation probably. So that's the plan, and then let's see. Hopefully that would work out for me. If not, then I have a few backup plans as well if I have to go back to my country. So yeah.
Tell me about the CHRM part, because people might think since you already got a master's, you do not need a professional certificate, although this is incorrect, but I want to listen from you. What was the need to get a professional certificate on top of your master's degree?
I think it's based on the more practical knowledge and also networking. So one of our professors basically highlighted this for us. Although I have yet to go through the entire things, know about this properly, so I do not want to share anything I do not want to share any wrong information. But what I could understand that it is based on more practical knowledge, labor rules, all of these, which are very important for doing a HR role. And second is one thing was highlighted during one of our sessions, networking. Like you have to, you can network with a lot of people which got the same degree and which are who are working in the same roles in different companies in HR. So overall, the certification is very important from that angle.
Networking is a huge advantage, especially here in North America, that most people who's immigrants, as me, did this rookie mistake that we might think that we will know our colleagues and our employers after we get the job, but really things work the other way around. You really need to know your industry, your prospect employer, your prospect colleagues, get to know them, maybe invite them for a virtual coffee chat or a real coffee chat. So just you have to establish that connection first, and then once it's time for submitting your resume or having a talk with a manager, then it becomes much easier. But you cannot afford just to wait until you finalize everything and so have a vacancy and then you start learning about your employers and your colleagues. I agree with you. That's crucially important about networking. If you look back at the previous year, Israt, and you think that if someone told me about this before I made that mistake, I would not do it, what would be that mistake?
So first 2 months, I think I was very, very worried. I was overthinking. I wasn't enjoying at all. I was always thinking about studies or getting a part-time job or maybe later on full-time job, all of these adjusting in Canada. But I think it's a process. You have to believe in this process that everything will work out eventually. And especially first 1-2 months, you really have to relax and enjoy because it's something that you have achieved and you are here. So anyways, it will work out eventually. So that was one mistake I felt I did, but because initially I was very worried, like I'm here now, what will happen? So yeah, I think we should not do that at all.
Okay, good to know. My last question would be, if there is a girl right now in Bangladesh watching this video and she is afraid that she does not have the enough power or courage to do what you did, and you want to send her a message in your own language, what would be that message?
So should I speak in Bangla?
Please.
Okay. So আসার আগে অনেক ভয় লাগবে, অবভিয়াসলি মনে হবে যে এটা তোমার জন্য কাজ করবে না, বাট তুমি যদি একবার এসে যাও অ্যান্ড পড়াশোনাটা শুরু হয়ে যায়, অ্যান্ড আই থিঙ্ক এটা অনেক ভালোভাবেই সেট হয়ে যাবে, বিকজ ইটস আ, লাইক আই সেড, ইটস আ প্রসেস, অ্যান্ড তোমার জাস্ট বিশ্বাস করতে হবে যে এভরিথিং উইল ওয়ার্ক আউট.
All right. Israt, I cannot thank you enough. And I'm not saying this as a compliment, but you will do great in your life. What you showed in the classroom, the impact you have in your colleagues, your dedication, your dreams, you have a lot to achieve in your life. And I just want to reassure to you that please stick to your dreams. You have a huge potential, and I'm quite sure that you will achieve whatever you're dreaming of. It was my pleasure to be your instructor one day, and it is always a pleasure to speak to you and stay in touch. I really cherish these moments that when I speak to my former students one more time, it gives me more belief in the honorable profession that I had, that we pass across so many great lives like yours, and we hope that we have a positive impact. So thank you so much, Israt, for your time. It's been a pleasure to reconnect and talk, and I hope we can stay in touch. To our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in for this episode, and stay tuned for future episode. Thank you, Israt. See you later.
Thank you so much, sir. See you later.
Bye.